what I thought I'd try to talk today is about American military reform and try to put it in the context of your plan, as I understand it, Military Reform 2020. I was intrigued by some of the statements in this little brochure and in the Defense White Paper. And I hope some of my comments will be relevant to some of the issues that both our defenses face. My point basically is that if you look at our model, the Department of Defense, it's not a very good model for reform. I'd like to discuss that and try to propose an alternative model reform, which is also American, but is not the majority point of view, either in the Pentagon or in Congress or in think tanks, but has had a major impact on some elements of our defenses, all of them quite successful. First, talking about our Department of Defense. We constantly hear in hearings on Capitol Hill, in newspaper articles, speeches people give, we have the best army in the world. Some people even take it to the extreme and say we have the best military in the history of the world. They point to things like Operation Desert Storm in 1991, where it was not much of a contest. They point to things like Operation Iraqi Freedom, the first easy part of our second conflict with Iraq in 2003, and how the opposition just sort of melted away. They point to the understanding current in this country that the Department of Defense is one of the better managed agencies of government. And they point to, even though he's a controversial figure, well, at least Donald Rumsfeld transformed our armed forces, and the result is today something that's much more relevant to the 21st century than what he inherited from the Clinton administration. I think all of those assertions are patently false and really foolish for people to say, and I'd like to go through some of the steps with you. Another thing people like to turn to is transformation. Well, hasn't this transformation worked? Don't we have a lighter, faster, better armed forces now than before, more able to cope with 21st century warfare, better capable of long, deep strike, precision strike against targets? Look how well we're doing in Iraq and Afghanistan. There's no better test of how well you're doing in defense issues than actual combat. We're not doing well. The reaction of some commanders on the ground during Operation Iraqi Freedom, when they were given systems that were prototypical of the future combat system. In other words, a galaxy of sensors to feed information through headquarters to the units at the sharp end. Where is the enemy? Where are our forces? Give them a picture of the battlefield that removes, what we all like to call fog and reduce the friction on the battlefield. The reaction, despite what you'll hear in testimony in Capitol Hill, the reaction of many of those commanders was to turn those systems off because the information was either too late or there's too much of it for them to absorb. In some cases, the bridges in Nasiriyah, the information was wrong, and it facilitated the interference of command level at the tactical end. The last thing you want when you're trying to fight your way out of a situation or into a situation is somebody from a couple hundred miles away in the Persian Gulf or a couple thousand miles away in Tampa to tell you, don't turn right in that street, turn left. It's not the kind of help that you need.